Welcome to Radio Free Will, a podcast for sovereign people. We're back again with Michelle Mockers, artist, activist, and philosopher, which you don't often hear philosophy on the radio or in the media anymore, and we feel like it's sadly missing. Michelle, how are you today?
Very well, my dear, very, very well.
Okay.
I rewrote the whole thing to make it clear absolutely what is the aim
For
of,
people
of what I am doing.
For people watching on YouTube and Vimeo and stuff, it's got a new cover to it. So when we left off yesterday or last week, we're going through the 8 general rules of the positive dialectic of the arts.
Yeah, because if you look at the title of that, the dialectic of the arts, in fact, say it again here, you see that, refuses, in fact, capitalism, socialism, and communism.
So it replaces everything.
Replaces everything with the very, 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 I should say, human, normal, philosophy of doing. The very, very first manifestation of man, you understand that man needed to eat and to find some animals or to find some grapes or whatever it is to eat in the beginning of man, the really beginning of man. But the same man produces something that is incredible. He produces a piece of art. Piece of art have been through the whole centuries up to today. Today, that you want it or not, I believe I told you that already, but that you want it or not, every minute, everything you do, you need something which is dependent from the arts. Your tie or your shirt is dependent. What you eat, everything is dependent of the arts. What did happen is that the men, when I say men, women, humans, if you want, when they were a group, it was beginning to be a little confused, and certainly they didn't know exactly what to do. So they give the power to one person to be the director of the group and to tell the group what to do. And we have the beginning of what we have today, the leader. And it is the leaders, through the centuries, the leaders who created war, not the people, the leaders. They wanted to extend the group, they wanted to conquer this, to conquer that, whatever it is. They created war. All leaders, if you look at history, all leaders in history are involved in war. All of them are involved in war. So fed up with that, my dear. We do not have anymore. Today we have the atomic bomb. So if we go up to the last of it, we can fight with atomic bombs and practically destroy humanity. Or we can do the reverse. Throw all that away and start from scratch.
And how did humanities get away from the arts?
Humanity gets away from the arts once more by necessity to the leader, the people listen. We created the leader, so we listen to the leader. So the leader, we go with the ideas of the leaders, not the ideas of the group, the ideas of the leader. And we accept the ideas of the leaders. And it's how it works. And leaders, once more, if you look at the history of leaders, they all fight. One reason, another one, they all fight. Even the latest war, you can see that the First World War was the most stupid things, family war. That's incredible.
Well, let me ask a question that just occurred to me. Does politics, is it an art form?
Politics?
Yeah.
Yeah, politics. You see, what I say and what I say that I refuse is because in fact, the arts give the way, give the philosophy to direct the people. So far it was the reverse. It was the people or the leaders directing the people, not the arts directing the people. And I said the arts since the beginning, if you can express the positive philosophy of the arts, you have something that have never existed up to now, a positive philosophy out of war.
Right, but my question, I don't know if I made myself clear. Can politics be an art form?
Of course, everything can be an art form. Everything can be an art form, but on what do you mean by politics? You have to define what you mean by politics.
Bringing people together for a common cause. How's that?
That's the goal of politics?
I don't know if it's the goal, but
yeah, but what I'm just telling you is that usually the people elect a leader who will lead them to whatever, including war.
And when did art, it seemed like sometime in the 50s, late 40s, 50s, art became something different. It became this commerce. It became a commodity. Have you noticed that?
Yes, of course. Of course, art go. Everything is like that.
Because you used to tell me a story about Picasso. Do you want to share with the public about with the signing of the plates?
Art has always been like that. Society has always been like that. If you look at the last, let's say, part of the arts, you start with the Renaissance. You start with the Renaissance and you end up in Picasso. It's a period of the arts. And now everything, politics, Picasso, everything is going down the drain. So Picasso has been made by not the arts, he has been made by the sellers, by the galleries. It's the galleries who created Picasso and created the modern art. The galleries, nothing else. Not Picasso himself. The galleries gave more and more value to those works.
And you knew Picasso?
Yeah. I was living next the street to him, across the street, in Valoris. And for example, I give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You have in Valoris, or you had, I don't know today, you had making plates and all that type of thing. Signed by Picasso. It was the foundry of Picasso, and everything was signed by Picasso. And sell as being done by Picasso. Picasso never put one foot in that store or in that manufacturer. So everything is like that. You see, when you have, you can say today, you have some lithograph, for example. Mm-hmm. Lithograph were made in the beginning, with the stone. You have to have every color made one by one, and you could add as many colors as you want, 5, 6, 7 colors, as many colors as you want. You can do that, but there is a printing press, the press, and the press can make some colors on the drawing, on the colors on the drawing. So you have, if you know very, very well, if you are able to look at, you have some of those lithographies were supposed to be made by hand and which are made by machines. I don't want to give any name. But
No.
Come on, they all have been like that.
Are they living or dead?
I can give you an example. At the end of Vlaminck, who was supposedly a great painter, you had a museum on the Riviera. You had a museum, Vlaminck Museum. Now, if you wanted a Vlaminck, you just have to go give a call to Mrs. Vlaminck, and she was giving you a date to give you a Vlaminck that was made in her studio by several of her artists. She was, come on, everything is like that. That's modern times, You sell everything, and the most you can sell, that is today. The most you can sell, it doesn't matter if it has a real value or not real value.
But that's not the kind of art that you're talking about in the positive dialect.
No, I'm talking about the art that guy, the very, very, very first man made on the wall of his cave. It went through the centuries. Why the Renaissance? So today we are at the point, or we disappear, or we create a new Renaissance. That's it. There is no other way. You know, you have that the world is fighting in between communism, so capitalism. We are just fighting one way or another. One we are fighting. When it's not with the arms, it's with the money. So we are.
How do you define what the Renaissance was?
The Renaissance was that the artists, you know, the artists of the time were searching. All artists have always been searching in the past, but they discovered Greece, and they discovered the wonders of Greece, of the sculptures and all that. So that gives them. You see, I put on the top of that. Look at those two.
They're Greek.
Few centuries different. That's the old one. That's the new one, with Michelangelo. We recreate the art there where out of talking, out of something new. The artists recreated this art, taking the ancient forms of the Greeks and all that. They discover beauty.
And that's what you're talking about today.
Of course, we have to recreate beauty. If we are not able to recreate a social beauty of existing as human people, forget it. We have completely goofed the whole story of what is a human man.
Well, the beauty is there. Beauty is present all around us, but it does seem to be like turning into a very ugly world. Everybody seems to be hating one another. Everybody seems to be... I don't know if it's a quality of the internet. Everybody seems to be like, you read comments in the forums and stuff, and they just, all they do is say nasty stuff about one another.
Because nobody has something to give, something more positive. We are still the victims of people, of all those people who compete for politics to be elected to direct the country. We are the people are. They don't have a clear idea of what to do or what. They don't have a clear philosophical idea of what the world is. So they don't mind. They follow. They don't even argue. They just follow as they want to follow, or think it's the best. That's it. But there is no. And if you look at the political parties, existing political parties, they offer absolutely nothing new and nothing intelligent for humanity. Absolutely nothing. You can take all the points of the Democrats and Republicans, forget it. They are old people.
Well, it's in their best interest not to offer anything new.
Of
As long
course.
as there's a status quo.
Of course. Plus they manage in such a way that they are alone. Nobody argue. They are alone. You cannot vote something else. It's ridiculous. Because the whole voting system belongs to the Republicans and the Democrats, who have all the advertising, who have everything. They have all the money, they have all the things, and the rest of humanity, forget it. But that is not democracy, because democracy means that everybody has to be listened to, even if you don't like it. But you have to listen to. And eventually you would have to have people who disagree, but who would be elected as senators or whatever it is. That would be democracy. Otherwise, forget the word democracy, it's an abuse. It's an abuse.
And so how does your philosophy change things?
Well, I'm
going for the hard question first.
If you want... If you want, once more, I am an artist, and I put the arts as the way to solve the problems. In fact, when you make, I talk painting because I am a painter, otherwise I would talk music or would talk, I talk painting. When you make a painting, you allied two things together, what you have in mind and what you have in your hand to realize what you have in mind. And that is what I call the philosophy of the arts, which does not exist. Otherwise, forget communism and all that with that. They are absolutely out of that. Means that you can make a composite of two things which are completely different, if not opposed. You could even consider them almost as contradictory, the mind and the material. And you put that together and you create a piece of art. Now, you create a piece of art. The piece of art itself, you give it, if you want, you give it, shall I say, almost a frame, a dimension. And you paint inside of that with a dimension that you want to give to your piece of art. But what I don't want is people who would have the painting on their wall and add the painting up the wall or down the wall. In other words, what creates the politics of the art is something which has no too much and no not enough. A balance. It's a balance. It's a balance. It's a synthesis between those two things: the mind and the material. I don't know if I'm very clear.
You were. Whether
sure.
I'm getting it or not is a different thing.
Okay.
But I understand about the balance. Even in music, you need balance. You need the balance of frequencies, tones,
Yeah.
silence, and some kind of noise. Or
Yeah. Or if you can have in the same symphony, you can have too thin a theme, central one, and an opposition, and you play with those two things. But you don't let one take over the other one. And
So how does that balance work in politics?
that balance would work in politics, my dear, because once more, to work, I give it, if you accept the art, if you, yeah.
You might be able to read our. What's the?
The question was, so is the balance missing in communism and capitalism?
Okay.
Is the balance missing? Yeah, because there is no balance. That does not exist.
Explain why not, or why.
Because precisely they are not. What I say when I say a painting, you are obliged to have that balance, otherwise there is no painting. That balance between the inspiration and your tube of paintings. It's only the synthesis between those two things that creates a painting.
All right. Here's a tough question for you.
Yeah.
The goal is to have peace, right?
Yeah.
Peace and prosperity and stuff. But if you're talking about balance, do you need war to balance out peace?
No. Why war?
I don't know.
War is a
We're talking about
destructive. No.
balance.
War is destructive. It's a destructive element. I don't want to consider destructive element. I said that a philosophy livable for all the men of humanity completely eradicate the idea of war. We can have conflict. It cannot be done, just like that, as a, just a wish. It will be very difficult. But the nation must, number one, the leaders and all that must lose the idea of conflict, of I am superior to you, I am the best one, I am, So we must, for once, since the beginning, in fact, since the caveman, we must forget that idea that we are the strongest and we can impose our volonté or we can impose our ideas on the others. We must agree, we must come out with a compromise with the others. We must finally, all around the earth, we should be able to come out with compromises. I don't care if you are a communist, but we can actually, I don't care if you are a communist, but I can agree, I will tell you that you're wrong, that's something else. But I can agree with you that we can try to do something.
So compromise is balance too.
Yeah.
Okay. And can you have poverty and wealth? That would be balance, right? But you're just talking about raising up the people's level of living and reducing the amount of wealth somebody can have.
What I want to reduce is the people who have all the money. Because the people who have all the money, they govern you. You don't govern the government. They own all the means of television, everything you want. They have all the means in their hands. They are the richest people in Earth. So,
yeah, it has seemed to have gotten out of balance.
okay,
that's for
so
sure.
what I'm very afraid of is that artificial intelligence, which is the big discovery of this century, in fact, artificial intelligence, if you if you put it in the hands of few people, they will govern you. They will govern you by all means, television, movies, everything you want. They will govern you because they will impose their thoughts. They will have the money to impose their thoughts. So the problem is, if you think of the Industrial Revolution, in fact, transformed the worker of the old times into a slave, a real slave, living in a disgusting city that they had built for him. So you can have it's a repetition in the history of humanity. You can have the same thing, but this time electronics means that you are not eventually able to take it out, and that forever humanity, the people with, let's say, the ordinary people, will be the slave of the people who have the artificial intelligence. And that is absolutely unacceptable. And that is something that neither communism or problem, or the Republican and Democrats are discussing. You never hear anything like that. You never hear that. They have never read history. They don't know history. They have never read that. They don't have the time to read. They've never read that. So, but that is reality. That is humanity. If you look at older than the Industrial Revolution, you have always a painting of one who has the money and use the money and camouflage his money, make it in such a way that he can keep the money, and we will use the money to have people working for him.
Well, even before the Industrial Revolution, whoever invented the sword was the one who was the most powerful.
Yeah.
If you could afford the sword.
So we are at a point, you see, for me, we are at a point where, and it's where I am absolutely against the Democrats and the Republicans. You never hear anyone making an allusion at what can come out of the artificial intelligence.
And is the AI property? Is the artificial intelligence property?
Of course, the artificial intelligence, you can buy the way to make artificial intelligence. And if you were once more the one with the most money, you can eventually buy the whole artificial intelligence in all domains.
And is an idea property?
Oh, yes, an idea can be a property.
It is. But you're not claiming your ideas as property. You're giving it away to everybody, right?
Of course, come on. I am the guy of the primitive guy in the cave who makes an artistic thing. The first thing that you can see from men, that you can relate from men, is a piece of art. It's nothing else. So why is that? And why is that today money is everything? And the art is really, because you need to have a shirt, but otherwise the art is really considered as nothing, just money or whatever, but not as a philosophy. And I say art is a philosophy. That's how the beginning of humanity. And when you study art, you can see that precisely art is a composition which has all those different things like mind and tube of paint. And that is the life of every day, my dear, mind and tube of paint. But where I am personally, once more, I repeat myself, very, very anxious, is to see that artificial intelligence, and you can see it a little everywhere when you go into, your computer to find this or that. The artificial intelligence is there, and you have the people who, the 1%, I don't care who they are, the 1% who owns practically the country. So they own practically the artificial intelligence. We will play Metropolis. We'll play Metropolis for real. but it will be for real, my dear, instead of being a movie. And the whole humanity can be the things to come. Have you seen that movie, The Things to Come? The whole humanity can be under the rules of those who owns the way to manipulate the whole things.
So how do we get from here to there?
What do you mean by from here to there?
Where we are today in the political situation to where you want to take us.
But there is where we must create, we must spread like any other political ideas, you know. There is not so many ways to do it. We must create in the world the need for that type of party. You know, I remember
So
very...
you're advocating for a political party?
I don't know if it's a political party. I don't know the form, the physical form. Okay. And if we cannot do it. For example, it's impossible to do it in the United States under the political party of the United States, because you will be absorbed one way or another. You will be absorbed by the Republican or the Democrat. Any party which is the People's Party, for example, lasted 10 years, and then it became democratic. You will be absorbed. They will do in such a way that you will not have your own way to speak. So we must do outside of that, completely outside. What will happen, I don't know. And we try to go that in the other countries, not only in the United States, but in all countries, to make all the countries more or less agreeing with the principle. Now, agreeing after that with the reality, that will be a little more difficult, but if you want, it can happen. Let me tell you something. It was a small example of what you can do. At the end of the war, I was obliged to live in a small town just around Paris, a few miles of Paris. Communist country. The first night, a guy said, "Do you have enough to eat tonight? If you don't have enough to eat, I give you to eat." I said, "Okay." Then after that, he turned on your shoulder and said, "Do you have a job? If you don't have a job, I give you a job." And after that, would you have a little time to go to the meeting at the township house? You know, that was a communist working. So it was a completely communist, but half of that town at that time had no water, no running water, and half were, let's say, shacks, little wooden piece of shacks, you know, with a little roof. So with some of my friends, we say we visited two people who had two children. There were 4 people in one room, in one wooden room. 4 people living there. So we say, we're going to build them in the garden, extend the house, and give them another room. And we did it. And it was a communist, my dear. And after that, the communists were asking for us, "Can you come?" And, there's those 2 people, when it rains on their bed. "Can you fix the roof?" The communists, my dear, we were in the best way with the communists, and I was not a communist.
Were the communists paying you?
No, nobody was paying us. It was more money going back and forth, like that. I did ask to the big companies to give me some concrete, or to give me this or that, So it's how it did work, in fact. But it was to tell you that if you start to help or to come out with good ideas or whatever it is, you will be listened to. I am not at all a communist, and I was friend with all the communists, and they did not throw me a stone in my face. Not at all. But, all the nations, if we were eliminating the reasons, sometimes it's purely the economic reasons that we, torpedo this one or this one, everything would become possible. Everything, if you don't consider, if the humanity is considered the other human as brothers instead of enemies, everything would go well. But What I am doing is that I'm doing a rule to do that. What has to be done to, in fact, to be able to stay in the limits, It's not, you see what I have against communism, for example, communism and even socialism, is to reduce the people. Everybody is practically at the same level, you know. But everybody at the same level, that's not true. Some people, if you take a lot of people, some people have more initiative than other people, and they must be able to go with their initiative and to realize something. Otherwise, they will be absolutely unhappy and against you. So humanity has to be able to express itself. Make a painting if you are a painter. You see that? Okay. So I give the rules. In fact, those rules are done that for the whole world. There are rules for the whole world, like the communists had ruled for the whole world. They are ruled for the whole world, but to make in such a way that nobody, once more, has too much and nobody has not enough, and that everybody is able to achieve himself. That is absolutely essential. But not limit completely dealing all the people the same, all the people. That's wrong. That's totally wrong.
All right. In our last episode, we went through the 8 general rules.
Yeah.
And we promised folks that we would go into a little more depth.
Yeah.
And we have about 10 minutes left in the podcast.
Okay, dear. Okay, all right.
But let's just review the 8 general rules real fast, and then we'll go back to number 1 and give you a chance to expand on it. So, rule number 1, no armies, collaboration of countries. Rule number 2, government, as many men as women. Wait a second. You got a typo in your thing.
That's possible.
Number
I
3,
give you something and make it in a hurry.
elections with no private funding. Number 4, complete and free education for all. Number 5, industry, collaboration instead of competition. Goods are made to last.
Yeah, because today the goods are not made to last. They are not to be replaced every year or every 2 years.
Especially if you have software.
Yeah,
the software
exactly.
goes bad after 6 months. Respect for natural resources. Number 6, no financial markets or money cartels. No too much and no not enough. No monopolies. Number 7, AI and robots pay taxes for the people they replace. And number 9, universal health care. Or that should be number 8. It looks like
I just tapped that in a hurry to give it.
Got to redo
today.
your numbers.
So
there.
I have to, yeah. That's very possible.
So, folks, if you want a special edition one, you better download it now at no-pennies.com
Yes.
before Michelle fixes this. So let's talk about rule number 1 in the last few minutes we have here, and we can go a little bit more in depth. No armies, just collaboration of all countries.
Yeah.
But you're not talking about the elimination of countries altogether.
No.
You're not talking about a
no.
one world government or anything like that.
No, absolutely not, because you must keep the originality. You know, this country is very, very, very much original comparatively to this one. They're completely different. So you must keep. You don't try to make them together. Try to keep. You know, in the arts, one artist is not the same as the other artist. One population for geography, history, whatever you want, is not the same as the other one. Don't try to mix them together. Make them collaborate. Eventually we will visit each other, you know, but collaborate. But not try to make them one population. That would be wrong.
Because when you mix it, you make everybody homogenous.
Yeah,
When they're separate, everybody has a uniqueness about them that we can all share and discover.
exactly.
Ideas.
You can dress the way you want. You can smoke the way you want. You can do the way you want. You mustn't take off the people their originality. And some groups, human groups, because of their location, situation in the mountain, whatever it is, they have a very, very, very special way of being and all that. You mustn't try to destroy that and make them the same everywhere. That will be boring if you put all the same together.
Because capitalism seems to want everybody to be the same,
Of course.
homogenous, because it's good for their bottom line,
For the
their
business.
profit. Yeah, because
But that is a mistake.
they
my
make the
dear.
same shirt for everybody to wear, and it's easy for them.
That is a mistake.
So no armies.
No armies.
How do we defend ourselves?
No, you don't need to defend yourself. Why would you defend yourself? Defend yourself against what? The neighbor?
Alien beings coming down to take
come
over
on,
our
come on
planet.
from another planet. Yes.
No, I don't think any alien that would come here is going to come that far to take over us.
No.
Maybe to shake our hands.
No, what I want, if you want, is to keep the nations, to keep their originality, but make in such a way that the exchange, the economic exchange, the exchange among all nations is something possible because we don't fight against each other. We don't go over there because it's cheaper. So then after that we have a problem. Why did we go to China? Because it was cheaper. And now we have a problem with China, no kidding. And the politician could not, the people who do that, they could not preview that if you do that, someday there will be a problem.
No, because what will happen is they're just trying to drive down the cost of labor in the United States. They get everybody to bid against one another.
Yeah, but that's where it's wrong, that's because to sell your shirt a little less. So instead of manufacturing this shirt in the US, we manufacture in China, because in China, those guys, they are 10 times less expensive than the Americans. Okay, make in America, you will have one shirt instead of 10 shirts, so what? But you will.
And that takes all the art out of making shirts.
Exactly.
Because nobody can express themselves.
Exactly. So what I say there is that if you want the originality of people must remain originality of people.
So
you mustn't destroy them. They can collaborate. That's something else. A collaboration is something else. But don't destroy the whole thing under the pretext of selling your shirt less expensive.
You want to respect culture,
Yeah.
language, protect
Yeah,
language.
absolutely.
Because it does seem like Hollywood films nowadays, they're all made for, in China, India, or whatever. They're all watching the same Disney films. Everybody's all.
Look at music, for example. When you look at music, you have, through the centuries, you can follow the musicians and you can follow the evolution of music through the centuries. Now, we arrive today at people who write music with their computer, but don't have the spirituality, the mind, or whatever it is, of some old men, and they are boring. If you look at that, they are boring.
Except for the theme song for our show.
Yeah, they are boring.
That's good.
But you must, in other words, you must allow there is one thing that is completely wrong. I go to that in the United States, is that democracy, not only for democracy, I don't like that word, not only for democracy, but for the people themselves. All the people, all the kids must have the same education, must be able to have the same education to a certain level. Some will not go more further than that, some will not go further than that, some will go to the extent of it, but everyone must have the possibility of education, of a free education. And it's only with that condition that you will have people able to think of their political situation. Otherwise, those people who have no education at all, you will tell them all the bullshit in the world, they will follow you.
You can say that on our radio.
Yeah, because they are not educated, they are not able to make the distinction between things. Everyone on earth, I should say,
But
should have
each
education.
country will determine their own education policies.
Exactly,
How
because
they want to.
yeah, because beside that, the history of this country is not the history of that country, but there is a minimum of being able to read and being able to arithmetic, mathematics, and what you want, be able to, I don't know, horse riding or sailing or whatever it is. Everyone on earth should be to receive to his possibility the same education.
All right, I might be opening up a can of worms here because we're only got about a minute, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
And that is the total mistake, what is completely wrong in the United States.
We have only about a minute or two left.
Okay.
So in respecting other countries and maintaining everybody's cultural, how does religion fall in that?
Religion is the same. I don't interfere into religion.
Okay, so every
No.
culture can have their own religion and everything,
Absolutely.
as long as they respect everybody.
Why would you destroy? You can disagree, but that doesn't mean that you must destroy that religion. I can tell you I do not agree with you. You believe this, you believe that. I say no, but everybody, the religion is something that you must respect. As much as you respect the ideas of other people on whatever it is. You know, in art, you can love that, and you can love that. You can love Beethoven, or you can love something much more modern than that. It's your right, and I have no right to tell you, oh no, you should not have Beethoven, forget him. No, you must keep on your own feeling, a religious and ideology feeling.
Okay, I can agree with that 100%. Because I know my own spirituality is very fluid. It goes all over the place, and
But that's your right, my dear.
it's my right. Well, nobody's going to change it anyway, no matter how
No,
much they-
and your mind is made for that, otherwise you would have absolutely no mind.
So, Michelle, if people wanted to learn more, how do they learn more? Do you have a website?
The website, yeah, and I even have a personal address on the website. I mean,
Okay.
you can
So-
reach me on my email.
The website is no-pennies.com. no-pennies.com.
Yeah,
And people can read more.
yeah.
If they wanted to get in touch with you, they can get in touch with you.
There is an email address.
MichelleMockers@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And as always, I want to encourage people to subscribe to this channel. Please give us your feedback at info@radiofreewill.com. And if you have any questions for us or suggestions, or even want to get into a bit of the dialogue, feel free to send comments. And with that, any parting words, Michelle?
Any what?
Parting words?
Oh, well, I'm very happy to be able to express those ideas. Once more, I am a painter, and I express the ideas of art in the history of humanity. And I consider that the art in the history of humanity are the most important thing.
Okay, there you go, everybody. Just remember to be grateful.